Tony, Partnerships and Creative Director at Eventagrate Group, correct?
Correct.
Thank you very much for joining me on an episode of the Event Tech Talk Show. For the audience that's listening, Tony and I have only just met each other. We were recently on a panel regarding AI at the Saudi event show, and I think we instantly hit it off and clicked, mate, didn't we?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally, man.
So, talking a little bit about like your background and how you got into the events industry, what did that journey look like? What brought you into the space?
Right. For me, look, I've been in this region for like 17 plus years.
Yep.
I actually started off in CGI and post-production. I used to outsource CGI to to India from LA and England.
Okay.
So I worked on a load of movies like 300, Star Wars, Scanner Darkly. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it was I did these amazing visual effects. No, it was a load of rotoscoping with 80 people sitting in a studio doing rotors. Because 300, for example, the entire thing was on green screen, right?
Yeah.
So, but I tell you what, that helped me with knowing I'm not a technical dude, meaning I don't sit behind the machine and blah, 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 right? I wish I did. But it taught me what the strength of back-end work.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yep.
And that helped me when it comes to me working experiential and what have you.
Yeah.
You know? Now I work with tech and experiential, and that's what I do. So
yeah.
I started off in post. They asked me to be an executive producer for film. Did that, and then I was the head of experiential for his previous company. And and then like as luck has it, not just luck, it's skill as well. I work for Eventagrate, who really are at the like bleeding edge of tech and innovation.
Yeah.
And then how do we use that to inspire individuals, right? That's what advertising is, right?
Yep.
How do you evoke an emotion? And that's it. That's
I'm
what we do.
totally gonna go and see if your name are on the credits on 300, mate.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see that. I think that's how most people, right, transition into working in some division of the events industry. There's always something kind of adjacent to the event sector,
Yeah.
whether that's production, film, audio. You know, I was just interviewing Andrew, a guy from a company called Conference Rentals on a previous episode, and it wasn't his plan to get into the event space. I think like many people, right? But the skill sets that you pick up in other sectors then transition you and find their place. And I think it's really hard, the events industry, for anybody to really have this vision of like, I'm going to work in the events industry.
Yeah.
Maybe people who want to be event managers for whatever crazy reason they want to do that. But like all of the kind of the magic, I would say, behind the scenes, you know, the companies, the creative, the production, all that kind of stuff, these jobs aren't visible, are they? It's not like a career path or anything like that. So is your role as partner and creative director at Eventagrate, what does a typical day look like for you?
It's rather than partner, I'm a partnership.
Partnership, sorry.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I could ask for more money.
Yeah.
If I did that. So it's a case of nurturing sort of collaborations.
Okay.
Yeah. And also enhancing creativity in anything we produce.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So we've got what shall I call it? A harem of creatives.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're
300
amazing.
of
Yeah, they are, and that's where they are. I mean, like, we can bring something in, and here's the thing, right? Is how do you have someone who's got this technical headspace, right, and suddenly create something where the audience is a part of the storytelling, not just an observer, right? Like a passive observer, they're actually a part of the story itself, right? And that's what Eventagrate does. So when it comes to creativity, we share, like brainstorming is amazing.
Yeah.
Because there's such a diversity of individuals there, right? Like on the technical side, on the creative side. And it's about, okay, how do we do this and make it cool? That's pretty much our mantra, right? It's like, we do cool stuff. That's what we do.
So you basically take all of those ideas from the team and kind of orchestrate them into something that then can be produced, envisaged as an experience.
Correct.
For a brand, an event, whatever that might be. So if I was to put this to you then, what problem is it that Eventagrate is solving for its customers?
The problem, okay, so industry-wide, what is the problem, right? It's people pick up on buzzwords and they think, oh yeah, I want AI, I want VR, I want AR, right? With all the buzzwords in the world, right? But these are all tools to solve a problem, right?
Yep.
They're not like, oh yeah, add AI to, and trust me, I'll get clients to say, oh yes, can we add AI to this? I went, why? What's your problem?
Yeah.
What's your problem that you want to solve?
Yep.
Not negative. What's your problem?
It's like, what's the objective?
What's your objective? And is this the tool that we use, right? And it's like, we then, so those problems are varied, right? What is the biggest sort of challenge is, how do we make something that's not just a gimmick? Do you know what I mean? How do you make it that is actually something tangible? Yeah? Because you're working, what we do is we make the intangible tangible, right? I would like, I know it's a bit of a buzz, like a sort of strap line, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
So how do you make this tech thing evoke an emotion, right?
Yeah.
And that's what experiential is. So what does Eventagrate do is we elevate experiential creativity. So whatever your problem is, whatever your challenge is, we sit there and then we figure out what's the best way, maybe for a brand, maybe for a government entity, maybe for a sports event or whatever, Do
you think that's often where like brands or organizations that are putting an event on, whether it's, customer facing, internal, that kind of stuff, do you think they focus too much on peacocking and being shiny and fancy rather than actually at the core of like how people go away from that event feeling?
Right. At the beginning, it was that, right? Because I know whoever's listening will definitely have had an RFP or a brief or something that says, do something never seen before. Everyone says that, right? So that is the challenge there, right? So there is peacocking and showboating and what have you. Yep. But then when we actually put things in where we use machine learning, where we use the data, where we say, wait, out of 1,000 people who turned up at the event, they felt they were a part of the event.
Yep.
Okay? And that's where we come in to say, yeah, this is where we make somebody, instead of being, as I was saying, a passive viewer of just something on a screen, it's their story. So it's not a mantra, it's something that I always say, is that if I tell you a story, you might listen. But if I make it yours, you'll believe it. And that's what we do.
Yeah.
So
that's a great saying. Yeah, I think ultimately every event is about how we're making these people feel. Have we enabled them to have an experience which has maybe shifted their mindset on something or made them feel closer to something? And what effect does that have on the business long term, right? Is it, maybe it's profit, maybe it's growth, maybe it's all of these other things. I see it so often. I see it when we do registration for our show. At the moment, guess what's top of the list that everybody's coming to look at? AI, right?
Of course.
But that's because that's in the media and that's on the hype and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've looked at Eventagrate and what they do and the spectrum of events and types of experiences and things and the way that you use technology is just, it's obscene. I think you've done everything. Have you done floating LED yet? I don't know, maybe not just yet.
I'm not going to say who, but there's been something. Honestly, if I could, I'd show you one of the concepts that we came up with. So we did this. We did the Riyadh Marathon.
Okay.
Yeah, and we did all the experiential for that.
Yeah.
And one of the ideas was a floating LED, right, which gave you the run times that you were on per runner. Trust me.
That sounds like a health and safety nightmare, Tony.
That's why it didn't happen.
So of all of these things, you're clearly at the bleeding edge of like what's happening when it comes to technology. Obviously, that's giving you the ability to kind of integrate these experiences and things, or these ideas, these technologies into these ideas for these clients. But like, is that just something that's evolved over time? And like, how do you keep a cap on it?
So it's a bit of a nature nurture thing, right? So I'll give an example. Like when we did our metaverse side of things and our, let's say, when COVID took place and there were people who wanted to do events and they were virtual and what have you, because of the vision and because of the reactive space that we have and we're on the bleeding edge, it actually ended up molding certain parts of our company. Do you know what I mean? Right? Hence the different offerings. Yep. Yeah, we have we're not one of these who turn around and say, oh, let's put a person on a piece of lycra extended from the stage ceiling. It doesn't work that way anymore. You have to entertain the individual, right? Yeah. So when it came to virtual events, how do we do it, right? Like everybody talks about the metaverse. We were in this space ages ago, right? And it was something that we used because people couldn't go out and experience, right? And that, but being on the bleeding edge and the cutting edge helps us innovate and evolve. We have to evolve. Like I'd evolve, for example, with AI, you know about the fuss about AI and there's a load of people, oh no, you're against humanity and what have you. Mate, it's creative people who create stuff in AI. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People don't realize that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how, as Eventagrate, we're constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And like we come up with ideas about what's happening in the world, what's happening in the market, what's happening with the series of problems that we get offered, like problems that we get asked to solve. Yeah. That's what we do.
I think that's such a interesting point you've made there, and it's something I've talked about before. And it's that, AI and things like the metaverse replacing events as a physical experience. And I can't personally see it ever being a replacement. Can it replace certain objectives and formats? Maybe learning, if you're just there to, tick the box and collect your CPD points and you just need the information and it's, you're only there for the content, you're not there for anything else, then those digital event experiences are very good because they're sustainable, they're easy to access, it's saves people lots of times and things like that. But when it comes to is the metaverse, as an example, which has its own place in time, going to totally replace people coming together physically? No, because that's just not human nature, is it? We want to connect on a face-to-face level.
Yeah, and it comes back to what I was saying about making the intangible tangible, right? So there's certain things like certain developments in haptics that makes that virtual experience feel right. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We were asked to do something for a I don't know, can I say this? Yeah, I want to say it. For a deaf audience.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? And we were talking about sign language models that we worked on, about using AI, about subtitling certain things like without having a signer.
Yeah.
Right? And there's even about experiencing an event as somebody who does have a challenge. Yeah. So no, is it going to replace things? Not straight away, but there is going to be what I feel is going to be huge convergence into the metaphysical space. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Right? And as I was saying, like the use of haptics, the use of how do we trigger certain things in an individual. I mean, I don't want to go into the whole Neuralink space.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, we've also looked at that, by the way, Because of Eventagrate, we do this.
Yeah.
Like we look at things like, okay, I'm not going to stick a microchip in somebody's head,
Yeah.
right? But brain-computer interface is
Yep.
something we can work on, right?
Yeah.
And we have worked on.
Yep.
So how do we make certain movements?
I guess there's other things rather than like plugging in a chip or plugging somebody into the matrix. There's probably a lot of things like sound, light, smell, the other sensors,
Yeah.
right, that we can maybe actually evoke the same level of experience without actually having to be plugged in. I guess that brings me on nicely. You've already mentioned that you kind of look out into the world and look at the technology and what's being done and what's being created and stuff like that. How do you as a company decide whether you build something internally, and there's probably never been a better time to build tools and technology and software internally now, versus going out there and partnering or adapting an existing technology or platform for an experience? Like, how do you make that definition? How do you decide which way to go?
It all comes back to the problem, right? Like if there's a problem that we can solve, like if we have to white label something and then sit there and adapt it to make it work a certain way, why not? Do you know what I mean? That groundwork's been done. So we do that, yeah. But yeah, sometimes, like as a previous case I was telling you, we have to come up with our own solution. I mean, luckily we have so many wonderful techs, like it's another level.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, they're all like, in their own little cocoon.
Yep.
Like, it's not somebody you will put on a stage.
They've all got their own specialisms. Yeah.
There we go. Very well said. And they come up with different avenues to solve a problem that we wouldn't have thought of, that wouldn't have been thought of in, let's say, I don't want to say the word normal, in, let's say, a regular thinking space. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
But I think to that, you've clearly got a team with a lot of diverse thinking, experience, and background. And for me, great ideas are never just one person's kind of sole thoughts, right? Whether that's products or companies like Apple or whoever it is, the way that they come up with those great experiences, those great pieces of technology and stuff, it's 2% from one person, 3% from another, and then an iteration and refinement of that kind of stuff. So I guess for a company like Eventagrate, it's quite key to have all of those people available to you.
100%. Creativity doesn't mean you have to have a title of executive creative director or creative whatever, technologies, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone has an element of creativity, right? From the accountant to even the dude who makes coffee, who I kind of have an argument with because I don't like the coffee. Okay. but he has his own level of creativity. I know I digress a bit, but everyone's creative.
Yeah.
And once you embrace that, and that the company's vision is creativity and solving problems through tech and creativity, if you embrace that and you don't say, oh no, his title's not creative director, that is the biggest failing, because everybody has an idea, right? And if you can embrace that idea and help mold those ideas and have a unified vision, right? And a unified, let's say, approach to say, we're building cool ideas. Yeah, and then I know that's what makes a company great and really cuts us apart from everybody else.
Something else I'd like to talk to you about, Tony, is kind of that whole piece around audience engagement, which I know is at the heart of what Eventagrate does. There's a couple of things here, but the first one is this trend that keeps coming out that I don't know if anybody's clearly defined yet, of AI hyper-personalisation. When somebody says that to you, or a client says that to you, or you're explaining that and what that could look like to maybe a brand or somebody that's creating an experience, what does AI hyper-personalisation mean to you and Eventagrate?
So it, quite frankly, if we take it like as a broad thing, not a broad thing, as a higher level, it's about how do we create a passive interaction into an active interaction, right? So hyper personalization, once again, it's about the visitor, the viewer, being a part of the story,
Yep.
right? And this is something that I harp on about a lot. Everybody talks about AI, and it's about the nuances. How do you hit those nuances, right? So if I do something that really triggers a thought within the individual, right? You've hit on a nuance, maybe culturally, maybe creatively, maybe an experience as a whole. That's what hyper personalization is, not just the data, right? That, yeah, okay, we could turn around and say, yeah, we got this many people and their dwell time was this and they did this, and therefore, like number wise, this should be the amount of time that you should spend on a particular bit of content or something, right? Yeah, that's cool. That's a numbers thing, right? Which is great. Yeah, but when we're looking at a piece, an interactive, a installation that really helps somebody feel that they're a part of it. So what you have to remember now is that, let's say it's a piece of art, yeah? Now, the art piece knows that you're looking at it. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just a case of, yeah, I'm looking at a piece of art. Now, the art can turn around and say, yeah, I know you're looking at me, and I know this is your facial expression, and I know this is your feeling, and this is what you like, and you've come to this event, and there's certain things.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the difference. So that there, for me, hyper personalization for us is, how do we truly make it a personalized experience?
Yeah.
Not just I'm looking at a piece of content. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I think for me, when I've thought about this, what does AI hyper-personalization really mean? I liken it to an experience of somebody who goes to the same cafe or takes the family to the same restaurant, and the familiarity that comes with that. They instantly feel welcome and comfortable because they know what to expect. They've probably already chosen in their head what they're having,
Yeah.
but the staff and the waiters, they welcome them with their names. They almost go, so the usual then?
Exactly.
And I think we can actually probably get to that. You know, maybe it might be for some people a little creepy if you come to a random trade show and the guy behind the bar goes, "Hey Tony, how you doing?
How the kids?"
Yeah, how the kids? How's Julian? You're like, "What, are you spying on me?" That might be a stretch too far, but I think there's those little things that we can do as brands, you know, especially as brands, right? When we've got customers who are loyal to us because they love what we're about, they love what we do, and we've been able to get all of these touch points and learn about those customers and make them feel like we know them as much as they know us, right? Rather than just being a name on a spreadsheet in a CRM somewhere and things like that.
And something that you touched upon is not being overly intrusive.
Yeah.
To create like, what the hell, man? It's the sort of Big Brother Matrix, like, oh my God, they're watching us about everything.
Yeah.
And once again, it comes on to those nuances and picking up on those nuances. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always use that word.
Yeah.
Like, I say it a lot, right? And maybe it's a bit annoying, but it is like, the nuances is what you could talk about AI, but the difference is that human nuances only we can like articulate and decipher, right? At the moment, I mean, AI can on certain things. There's a few things that we're doing on facial recognition and emotional sort of monitoring and triggering and what have you.
Yep.
Yeah. But you're right. You are 100% right. It's about, why do I go to the same coffee shop day after day, or the same restaurant whenever I go? Because they know who I am.
Yeah.
They know what I like. They know what my son's name is, for example. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they know what I would order. And
that's what we like to do. We like to feel part of a community.
Correct.
To be seen, to be heard.
Yeah.
And as event organisers, I think we can often miss that part.
Yeah.
It's just about getting people in,
Yeah.
numbers, bums on seats,
Yeah.
and then see you next year.
And yeah, and then that's the KPI, and,
Yeah.
and that's it. No, it's like, how do we enhance that people want to come back? Do you know what I mean? They really felt something when they came to the event.
So on that then, we've talked a little bit about hyper-personalisation. You know, in your head, is there anything out there that you think is just more of a gimmick at the moment when it comes to the trends that you're seeing in technology and events and things like that? Or do you think there's things that will really add value long term?
I think it's the understanding of the buzzwords. Like, like clients will turn around and said, "Oh, what can we do with? How can we put in AI? How can we make this VR? How can we make this AR?" Because they've just heard what in the, especially marketeers and advertisers and whatever's in the papers. A gimmick in itself, right, is a little bit like, "Oh, wow, that's cool." But then how do we mold that? How do we use that? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not a case of just putting something in for the sake of putting something in, right? Like, we have to also understand is, as a human race, we're getting a lot more educated on what is... I'm going to take animation, for example. Like, we'll watch an animation now, and if it's a 3D rendered 2D, and we'll be like, "Oh my God, that's a great animation piece." Do you know what I mean? Because we know what looks good, because we know what Toy Story 1 used to look like compared to what Toy Story now, where they use diopter lenses and what have you in an animation. So we as humans have become a lot more aware of these acute differences, right? That's what I feel.
Yeah. And it's interesting you make that analogy with Toy Story and the change in the way that things are produced, because although I would argue, and I think probably the same, technically, from a production point of view, it was light years ahead of Toy Story 1.
Yeah.
But actually, for me, from what I saw online from reviews, the technology actually got in the way because people were pining after the old way of it looking, right? Do you think that's kind of creeps into the events industry a little bit when it comes to the overuse of tech? It's not distilled to the true, authentic kind of what that event's
That's a really interesting point. You know that. I think there is an element of that, yeah. But it's also about how do you make the tech or the tech solution that you provide omnipresent. I'm not saying like God or anything. Yeah. But it's like it molds into the surroundings, so you don't feel it as in, oh, it's tech.
Yeah.
Do you
Comes
see what I mean?
invisible.
Yeah.
Almost.
It is almost invisible. It's a part of like second nature, as it were.
And I guess that then is the strategy in which making sure that the technology doesn't become overwhelming, because this is some of the feedback even we've had at Eventech Live from sometimes even technology providers themselves. Like, Adam, there's too much. There's an event app, there's lead capture, there's a Q&A tool, there's a polling, there's a virtual platform, there's a hybrid platform, there's facial recognition, there's all this kind of stuff, and we just don't know how to do it all, to use it all, I guess. So I guess it's also like knowing when to stop, I guess, would you say, to make it not feel overwhelming?
I think so, yes. I mean, when we're looking at the overall, let's say the overall subject of a particular event, right? I mean, okay, if you're going to Eventech Live, don't complain about being too much tech.
Too teched out, yeah.
That's what we do, right? If we're going to, let's say, a food and event show, and of course we can look at, okay, your reaction is this from the taste and things like that. Yeah, we're picking up on human nuances, right? Yeah. I use the word again. Yeah, but we're looking at human interactions and responses. So it's about the best. One of the best things that I remember is we did an event which was like, it was coined as 5D. So it was like audio, visual, there was smell, taste, and what have you. And it tasted awful and it didn't smell great, right? So yeah, if we don't get that right, I mean, I know it's subjective, but it's the same sort of. You are right. Like you expect about, okay, we're taking this tool into this particular event. Maybe it doesn't need this tool. Maybe people want to just taste really good food, right?
Yeah.
And let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
We can do the polling and we can do the event registration and things like that, but that's my opinion on that.
So, taking a look at the emerging technologies, what do you think as an industry we should be thinking about and looking at in the next 5 or so years? You're obviously right at that bleeding edge. You know what's coming down the line. Me, for an example, one of my thoughts goes to we're seeing companies like Apple integrate translation directly into AirPods.
Yeah.
That's going to mean events are more accessible to people to talk and stuff. We've got Meta coming out now with, their latest version of glass with Ray-Bans and the addition in that of the what looks like to me, and I must admit I've not done too much research, it's like a band that's picking up haptics where people move their fingers to do things on that. Like for me, I'm like, okay, as an event organizer, if I've got 1,000 people with Meta glasses on, because now that's how they interact with the world, what does that mean for me as an event organizer? Is that a positive? Am I going to be able to provide addition? Am I going to be able to enhance my event for those attendees with that? Does that create a disconnected experience because some people are getting an experience and others aren't? How do you see what do you see coming down the line in terms of the future event technology that you think we should get excited about as an events industry?
I think what you said was a great example, right? You've got 1,000 people. Let's say it's a concert, right? And you're wearing Meta glasses, yeah? So you're at a concert, you're looking at the performer, right? You can go there as a normal attendee, right? And say, okay, great concert and what have you. Or with the Meta glasses, you could actually enhance the experience you have through what's happening on stage, for example. Let's say with AR, because with this it'll be AR, right? With the glasses, you could do a lot of stuff in AR. So you're looking at the stage. I was going to say Elton John, but he's not my favorite.
I mean, Tiny Dancer, amazing song, mate. Come on.
Exactly. And like, we could actually have that performance enhanced. So once again, it comes to how the viewer feels. I'm not just another person in the audience. I was actually a part of this. That was me. Like, just top of my head, right? Let's say you could put together a meta-human who's standing alongside Elton John or whoever, right? Dancing, that you see through your glasses. Oh my God, I was a part of that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That enhances it. But yet, that's the individual's choice, right? It's not a kind of like, oh, you have to have these glasses to make this happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally get that. I don't think it takes away. I think it can enhance the experience if you want to enhance it.
See, what you've just said there makes me think that if somebody inside Meta in their events team is not thinking about collaborating with an artist, Taylor Swift, I don't know, whoever.
Okay.
Not my favorite either. But somebody, let's say somebody that's really innovative and really pushes the boundary of the experiences of their events and concerts and stuff like that, right? If they're not thinking about collaborating with an artist on a tour where actually it's exclusive to people that only have Meta Ray-Ban glasses. Get that right? That's a tongue twister, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that the experience is for those people that have that product. That seems to me like a massive wasted opportunity for Meta to be known at the leading edge of experiences, for Ray-Ban to be the mechanism in which, and the design element and the artist to create an experience around that technology and everybody be having that experience, like that seems to, I mean, I don't know, maybe that's a way to sell like a couple of 100,000 Ray-Ban glasses for this kind of thing.
A couple 100,000 that, and it's an experience for
an exclusive experience for
the people who actually attend.
Yeah.
Right? So what is an artist doing? They sing a song, they do the performance, and like, you know, like the Kendrick Lamar halftime show was amazing just to watch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's imagine that we could have enhanced that as a viewer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Even at home, watching.
At home.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's been a few things that have been done, like even with the Snapchat filters. Yeah. Chance the Rapper did the launch at Ralph Lauren's store with a Snapchat filter that got a load of people kind of like excited about their album, and they actually went to Ralph Lauren and they went all around Ralph Lauren to pick up certain parts of the album that they wouldn't have got just from the whole album itself. That's quite, I mean, look, first of all, Snapchat, I'm not dropping names there, right? But to put together a filter with a 3 MB bandwidth, you've got to rate them.
What's a 3 MB bandwidth?
Like, meaning the filter itself,
yep,
like the back end for it, it's a 3 MB file that they have to turn around and create something within within that space, that amount of data on a Snapchat filter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Man, it's nuts, you know? And that's genius, man. Like that, to turn around and say, okay, we're going to make something like look like this, and with your phone, with AR, with a Snapchat filter.
I love that, going back to what you were saying though about like the NFL. And my brain goes towards things like festivals and things like that. Right? I was chatting to somebody. In fact, I was delivering a presentation for a group of event organisers, brands, and there was a couple of people from Live Nation in the room. And this was about like what technology is coming. And one of the challenges they threw out at me was, we've hit the maximum capacity of our event. We can't physically have any more people come to it. And other events have this. Glastonbury has this every year. Download have this every year. They sell out of tickets. They max out capacity, which means there's a lot of people left just watching on TV, right? Which is a very kind of like passive kind of thing.
Correct.
And it makes me, you know, what you were saying there, it makes me actually really hopeful that people, through the technology that they're going to have at home, can actually have a more immersive, visceral experience with those kind of things.
Totally. I mean, something's been offered to Eventagrate for a certain DJ. Yeah. And launching his album and us doing something with him. Did I say him? Yeah. Well, anyway, there's loads of male DJs.
Yeah. Doesn't narrow it down to
it. Doesn't narrow it down to enhancing the actual launch of his album, right? And how the viewers at home like using immersive or even like sort of immersive interactive is what the idea was, right? Is, fingers crossed. And it's about how do we take that, okay, you've got 1,000 to 100,000 people at the event, how do we set that further? Yeah. Right? And that's where we have to embrace the technology. Yeah. And that's when you give us a call.
Final question for you then, Tony. Just thinking about your work at Eventagrate, is there a single project or a moment in your career while you've been there that's like truly stood out for you? And if so, what was that? What did that look like? What were you really proud of?
Yeah. I mean, look, there's been a lot of projects where we do like interactive stands and immersive stands, which are cool, every single one of them. Like the technology that goes behind it, the thinking, the creativity has been wow. A standout piece, I would say, was the Riyadh Marathon. Yeah. Right. That we did last year, and it really was a mix, because there was a immersive element, there was an AI element, there was an AR element from one event.
Wow.
Right. So I'll give you an example. When you registered, you scanned yourself, and AI avatar is created with your face. Yeah. Then the actual map of the marathon, the invitation was an AR invitation. It wasn't just another email. It was an AR invitation, and you could actually place your camera on the wall, and it'll show you the map of the Riyadh Marathon, and your little avatars on there, right? At the fan zone itself, we did something which was we called it the flyathon, where you ran the marathon on an immersive area, like on a treadmill, and you were running through the skies of Riyadh through the clouds. Yeah. The AI avatar ended up being a part of their nationwide billboard campaign, because they took people and took those avatars and put it on a billboard. So it's just, there's so much. And even the people who visited, like monitoring where they went, what they spent time with, how they interacted. Yeah. And I know we didn't do the floating LED screen, as he said.
Yet.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the standout pieces. The other thing is something we did for Edge, which is it's a huge organization based in Abu Dhabi, and they really are. We did something for their military side of things, like the military exhibitions, but it's about how do we showcase what we have. Yeah. And let me put this across. This wasn't like an aggressive military, this is how we bomb things. No, right? It was showcasing the technology of the new stuff that's been out.
Yeah.
The devices and what have you. So that was also a standout piece, because at the end of the day, it's about how do we impart that information without being too intrusive, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, Riyadh Marathon for me was one of the sort of pinnacle pieces. But we've got something coming up once again.
Okay.
Right, and I might come back on the interview, to
let's
shout
do that.
about that, because the tech side of it and the innovation side and the human side is wow.
Yeah.
And it's about using. Yeah. No, I'm not going to say.
Don't spoil it.
I
Don't
won't.
spoil it. You're under NDA, mate. Before you might
Yeah,
not have done it
exactly.
before this. I think, first of all, for anybody listening, we'll try and link somewhere in the show notes and point people so you can go and see something maybe on the Eventagrate website or on the Riyadh Marathon website or something, so you can see that content and that case study and stuff like that there. I think from our conversation, Tony, what's really exciting for me is there's so much opportunity when it comes to how we create these experiences and how we really, truly have attendees have a meaningful experience and go away feeling part of something or more brand affiliation or something like that. But the key and the theme that I've heard all the way through what you've been talking about is that the technology should not be the reason, it should be the solution.
Correct.
And when it's the right solution.
Yeah.
And I think, human nature, as we go back right to the beginning of this conversation, is we want to be the latest and the greatest and the shiniest, and there's a lot of one-upmanship in, especially in brands and those kinds of things. Everybody wants to be the latest and greatest, and as you pointed out, do something nobody's ever seen before, which is kind of our mantra, and we do that at the
Every
Events
single
Initiative.
brief.
And I think that's really great that a company like Eventagrate and yourself really are at the forefront of that while you have all of these tools and these technologies and these great developers and people, it comes back to why. Yeah. Why do we want to do this? How is it delivering on your objective and stuff
exactly
like that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, even our founder and our the heads of the company, he's a tech creative genius, and that's what helped found Eventagrate. Technical geniuses is what formed the company, actually. So the founder, the CEO, and they instill that in the people that work as well. So yeah, it's really like a wow place to work. It really is.
Amazing. For anybody that wants to find out more about you or Eventagrate, where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, you can go to the Eventagrate website. which is eventagrate.com. Yeah, and you can find out about me and my restraining orders. Yeah, you could go to my LinkedIn, which is Tony Lehal on.
Maybe
LinkedIn.
even the real reason you're called Tony.
Yeah.
We'll save that for the next episode.
No, you can't. Well, you can talk about it now, but yeah, if you wish. But yeah, we can do that.
Tony, brilliant. Thank you very much, mate. You've
absolutely.
been fantastic guest, and really excited to see what you and Eventagrate create for the events industry across the globe.
Thank you so much for inviting us over, man. It really is a pleasure. This is amazing. Like, we need more people like you to talk about these things.
Appreciate that.
To make it palatable.
Thank you.
Yeah.